Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lawndale City Council. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'm going to ask the Assistant City Clerk to please give us the roll call.
Mr. Mayor, we could actually have our newly appointed city clerk provide the roll call.
Let's do that. Thank you. Madam City Clerk.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem Kearney.
Here.
Councilmember Suarez.
Here.
Councilmember Hoffman-Gorman.
Here.
Councilmember Cuevas.
Here.
Mayor Pullen Miles.
Here.
Thank you. All members are present.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Thank you for your presence and welcome. Okay, the first item on our agenda is going to be our ceremonial portion, our flag salute. I'm going to ask Councilwoman Shirley Cuevas to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand and stand forward towards the nearest flag. Right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay, we have a couple of retirements that we want to recognize. One from the Administrative Service Department, which is the Cable Television Division. Tom Strick-Fadden is retiring. Also, we have Sandra. She's from Phipps from the Finance Department. She's also retiring as well. She has 24 years of retirement, and Tom has 32 years of retirement. We want to just recognize them. They've already retired, but we want to make it officially that we recognize them in their retirement. So we will start with Tom Strick-Fadden. Tom began working for the city in October 1988 as part of the part-time cable television production assistant. At that time, Tom had just completed his bachelor's degree in communication and broadcast journalism from Cal State Dominguez Hill and was interested in the city's production of high school sports. Tom's passion for public access television continued to grow. When then cable television supervisor left, Tom was promoted to full-time cable television supervisor. During Tom's tenure with the city, he played an integral role in building the city's cable television into a Star Award status. Tom has been responsible for all of the television production and programming for the city of Lawndale's CityTV and Lawndale Community Television. Over the last 32 years,
Did we lose Robert?
division staff members who have moved on to having a very successful career in various areas of television production and filming. Tom's professionalism, technical expertise, and dedication to the communities is inspiring. We're so pleased to have had the pleasure of working with Tom. His accomplishments and contribution to the cities are beyond acclaim. Therefore, on behalf of the city of Lawndale, the Lawndale City Council, we are pleased to recognize Tom for his 32 years of service to the city and on the occasion of his retirement. Congratulations, Tom.
Yay!
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much, City Council members. It's been a great pleasure to have worked for the city of Lawndale for so long. Many of my friends, when I graduated from high school, started families right in Lawndale because Lawndale was affordable at the time, and you could raise a family there. So I grew up, I've lived in Lawndale, worked in Lawndale. So, Lawndale, the residents have really been not only a wonderful place to work, but just a wonderful community in which to serve. So I thank everyone who I've come in contact with throughout the years, all the rewarding opportunities to produce programming that really genuinely starred the residents of Lawndale. So I thank them all for that incredible opportunity.
All right, congratulations, Tom. We appreciate you, and I'm glad you was able to make it tonight. Are you still in town, or have you made a big move?
No, actually, I've already moved. I moved to Texas in just outside of Austin, and I'm actually on my way back home. I came out for my sister's to meet my sister, and also to for my daughter's birthday. So we had a wonderful time, and now we're driving back. So I'm in El Paso right now.
Okay, nice. Well, once again, congratulations on behalf of the City Council and the entire city of Lawndale.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom.
Absolutely.
My pleasure.
Next up is Sandra Pips from the Finance Department. Sandra began her career in the city of Lawndale in December 1966 as an assistant to the city managers in the city manager's office. During this assignment, she provided customer service and confidential office support. In 1999, in August, she was placed in an acting assignment as acting technician and later was promoted to the position of business licensing technician with the finance department in December 1966. During her tenure in the city, she has provided training to users on accounts payable, accounts receivable, business licensing, and cashiering, all while attending school to obtain certificates and an associate degree in liberal arts. Most recently, she was instrumental in implementation of the team's first online collection system involving business license. She's always eager to assist customers and remain composed. This fact can be verified by the commendations and accolades by residents regarding her excellent customer service and her polite, professional, and positive demeanor. Sandra, integrity and her desire to do great work for the cities while serving residents of the city alike is why she was such a valuable employee here in the city. So therefore, on behalf of the city of Lawndale, as well as the Lawndale City Council, we are pleased to present you with the city plaque and a service pin in recognition of your retirement and also in recognition of 24 years of service to our community. Congratulations.
Yay.
Is she with us? Sean, is she with us today?
I thought I
Yes,
saw.
I'm here. Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I just want to say welcome and good evening to Robert Poulin Miles, City Council member, City Manager, and all of the council members, and also to Marla Pendleton, my Finance Director. And I want to say, when I came to Lawndale back in 1996, I was laid off from a previous employer, and thanks to Harold Hoffman and the City Council at that time, they reopened positions when there was a depression at that time. A lot of businesses were closing. They opened it up, and they gave me an opportunity and opened doors for me, so I appreciate that. I appreciate Julie Carter, who was the assistant to the city manager at that time and believed in me and gave me an opportunity to work under her in her direction. And then moving on to the finance department and moving up in the ladder with the city. So I appreciate it. I'm grateful for all of my colleagues and all of the directors that paved the way for me. And I just want to say thank you. And I truly love working for the city of Lawndale.
Sandra, we appreciate your 24 years of dedication to the city. And I know we mentioned about the customer service there at the window in the finance department. That's not always an easy job to give excellent customer service with the smart faith desire to really walk the owners through the process. But we really appreciate your professionalism and just been part of the team for all the years you've been here, city, 24 years. Thank you so much. And congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we have this 2 retirees with wonderful years. Organization. Okay, does anyone have anything they want to add before we move on? Okay, let's see. Seeing that, we will our agenda down on item D, public safety report. Let's hear from our captain. Captain.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm here tonight to present the public safety report for January 19th through January 31st. First, in regards to crime, the city's overall crime rate continues to trend downward. We continue to see a decrease in burglaries, robberies, as well as grand theft autos, which are down from December. I know from the last City Council meeting, the concern regarding illegal fireworks is on everybody's mind. I know every year, especially last year, the city faced an onslaught of illegal fireworks. This issue is a concern of mine, and I want you to know that I, along with my deputies, are dedicated to addressing this problem as best we can. I've had several meetings with the city manager regarding this issue, and we are formulating plans to address the situation. Though I know our plans won't completely stop the use of illegal fireworks, it is my hope and desire that we will hold more people accountable for their actions, which will result in less firework usage leading up to the 4th of July. I also have one interesting arrest of note. On January 22nd at 7 p.m., Deputy Hill and Fletcher conducted a traffic stop on Manhattan Beach and Hawthorne Boulevard for numerous traffic violations. As both deputies contacted occupants, Deputy Fletcher saw a handgun lying on the rear floorboard. She immediately informed Deputy Hill what she had observed. The driver overheard the conversation, at which time he accelerated from the scene, striking Deputy Hill, then running over Deputy Fletcher's foot. At this point, Deputy Hill initiated emergency radio traffic that he was in pursuit of the suspect vehicle. Due to vehicular traffic, he lost sight of the vehicle. A short time later, the station began receiving calls of 2 males running from a vehicle matching the suspect vehicle. Assisting units contained the area, culminating with both suspects surrendering to deputies without further incident. Both were arrested and booked at South Los Angeles Station for possession, assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, and carrying a concealed firearm in a vehicle. I want to thank the citizens of Lawndale. The community came together and assisted deputies in their arrest. This is not the first time that the community has witnessed police activity and called the station to help us find a suspect or report an accident or assist in other law enforcement activities. It is really appreciated. And as far as the deputies, they were both fine. This concludes my report, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Captain, for that report. Are there any questions of the Captain's report from the council?
This is Councilmember Suarez. I just wanted to say thank you
Yes,
for
ma'am.
sharing that. Sorry, Robert, didn't mean to talk over you.
There you go.
I just wanted to say thank you, Captain Allen, for sharing that anecdote. It's helpful when we hear these kinds of stories of how it is helpful for you and your team to get assistance if anyone sees anything to report it. So I just want to thank you for that.
Oh yeah, and like I said before, I think I've reported in the past. Citizens of Lawndale, they've called and helped us out on many occasions. You know, not just for criminal stuff, but car accidents. They've seen somebody being hurt or anything of that nature. We get phone calls from our community, and they're very helpful. So it's very much appreciated.
I would echo that as well. Anyone else have any comments from Captain Allen before we proceed? Okay, Captain, thank you for the report.
Thank you.
And thank you, deputies, for the good work. Next on our agenda is item E, oral communications. I'm going to ask the city clerk, have we received any oral communications?
Hi, Mr. Mayor, Assistant City Clerk Matthew Sabals. I'll go ahead and read the one public comment we've received verbatim.
Yes.
Randall Abram, Lawndale resident. For the sake of transparency, there should be disclosure from those council members who profit from the sale of fireworks and campaign contributions. At the January 19th, 2021 City Council meeting, there was an item indicating there was to be discussion whether the sale of safe and sane fireworks should continue in the city of Lawndale. Unfortunately, it appeared placing an item on the agenda was a waste of time as the goal of this so-called discussion was simply to refute the facts presented by residents that spoke out against the continuation of fireworks. A VP from TNT was even invited to speak and make sure those interests were protected. The council went so far to deny that the survey undertaken by the city on fireworks had no relevance, so why waste the taxpayer money? Prior to the last meeting, I submitted a detailed Orange County grand jury report to the mayor and city council that concluded the use of illegal fireworks is significantly greater in cities that allow the sale of legal fireworks. How many of the city council read this report and its conclusions on the impact of safe and sane fireworks on communities? Is it too much to expect that other than taking your stipend, council members take the time to listen to residents who do your job in researching? The tactic at the meeting was to totally disregard this actual study in an attempt to refute it by dragging Lawndale's law enforcement into the discussion on the impacts of banning safe and sane fireworks on reducing illegal fireworks. Listening once again to his answer, it was clear that the county has no position on that question and that there were only anecdotal comments of what happens in Pasadena, a city that bans all fireworks. Although no conclusions on the effect banning safe and sane fireworks would have on illegal fireworks were reached, comments were twisted to fit the conclusions the city council desired. The Orange County report is based on a lengthy analysis of 5 cities in Orange County and is not based on anecdotal observations. The discussion of the online survey on whether safe and sane fireworks should be banned was just as disturbing. The results of this online survey were never presented previously to the public, as it showed that over 61% of the respondents wanted to stop the sale of safe and sane fireworks. Since the results did not reflect the desires of City Council, it is now suddenly deemed to be invalid as it was not scientific. I suppose if the results were the opposite, it would have been valid. In the minutes of the January 19th, 2021 meeting, the results of this survey brought up by the resident are not even mentioned. So much for transparency. Failing that, residents need to be provided with every approved application for a fireworks booth that lists the required names of students and residents to qualify per the ordinance. That ends public comment.
Okay, thank you for reading the public comments. Are there any comments in regard public comments? Okay, seeing none, we will close oral communications and comments from the council and see the item G calendar, 2 items calendar. Is there any corrections, anything we need to make on the consent calendar?
This is Pro Tem Kearney. There's one correction on the minutes for the Lawndale City Council meeting from January 19th. On item 14, where it says Councilman Kearney attended, it was a JPIA oversight committee for LA County Sheriffs, not the library. I haven't seen inside of a library, just like churches. I don't go to churches either. So it wasn't a library, it's a JPIA, Library Trusted Oversight Committee. So, okay, Mac, you correct that?
Thank you. I'll note that. I'll make that correction.
And with that, I'll make it a motion to accept the consent calendar as written and corrected.
And I'll second it. This is Councilwoman Suarez.
Thank you. The motion's been made by Kearney that we approve the consent calendar with corrections on item 4 and seconded by Councilwoman Suarez. Is there any debate or discussion on motion? Seeing none, I'm going to ask the assistant clerk to conduct the vote.
Okay, for the consent calendar, Mayor Pro Tem Kearney,
Yes.
Councilmember Suarez,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman-Gorman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cuevas,
Yes.
Mayor Poland Miles.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Next item on our agenda is item H under administration, item number 5. Let's have the staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. This is Julian Lee, Director of Public Works. This evening, staff would like to provide information on the award of a contract for solid waste consulting services. Currently, the Public Services provides solid waste service collection for the city of Lawndale. In addition, solid waste consulting and support services have been provided by HF&H until end of last year. Some of these services are franchise management, coordinate, promote, and monitoring recycle programs, and conducting important biannual audits, as well as quarter and monthly reports. Within the solid waste service, there are many ordinances and requirements that the city of Lawndale needs to comply under California's Department of Resources, Recycling, and Recovery, also known as CalRecycle. Out of the several assembly bills and Senate bills that has passed recently, SB 1383 requires much need of this consulting and support services. SB 1383 establishes statewide effort to reduce what SLCP, which is short-lived climate pollutants like methane. To abide by the Senate bill, the city of Lawndale needs and establish mandatory organics ordinance before end of this year. Also needs to look into edible food recovery ordinance, and also needs to have a procurement policy for organic waste products and several other requirements that demands for this consulting support services. Staff has sent RFPs to 7 reputable consultants for the service and has received 3 proposals. Staff evaluated all 3 proposals and unanimously selected HF&H proposal to be the most optimal based on their technical knowledge, their team experiences, and understanding the scope of work that's needed for the city of Lawndale. Therefore, staff recommends the city council award the solid waste consulting services contract to HF&H in an amount of $293,097 for 29 months of service until June 30th of 2023, and authorize the increase of AV 939 contract services appropriation for fiscal year 2021 in an amount of $44,298. With that, staff is available for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that staff report. Are there any questions on the staff report?
Mayor, this is Pro Tem Kearney again. I have a
Yes,
question. Why didn't we go with the lowest bidder with the go to zero? I know, let me first say, I was on the subcommittee for the waste haulers with former Councilman Dan Reed, and we worked with HF&H, and they're a very good firm, but this is the second time in less than 6 months that we haven't gone with the lowest bidder. The last one was September 2020, when we did a consultant firm, and we decided to go with the 3rd lowest bidder. Is this going to be a consistent thing where we're not going with the lowest bidder no more? We just go out of the window, or what? So it is go to zero. They're not a reputable firm, and they can handle the same contract as HF&H. I guess it's for Julian or Kevin.
Yes.
This is Julian. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kearney. This is just say in this particular incident, we looked at the firm's knowledge of the consulting services. We also looked at the team experiences and then proposal looking into what are the needs for the city. And based on that, it is the staff recommendation that the HF&H provided the most optimal proposal. Now, as far as some of the details, a good example will be the team experience. The team members for HF&H had several members that are knowledgeable in the solid waste area, also in the engineering portion of it, and also in the finance portion of it for the audits. Again, because of all those experiences and knowledge, that's the reason why staff's recommending for the for selection of HFNH, not based on anything else, sir.
Okay.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am. Just state your name for.
This is Council Member Shirley Cuevas. Why are they H&F have such a high cost for the audit fee, where the other two are well, one of them is 7,000, the other one is almost 50% the audit fee. Could we negotiate that amount?
Councilman Cuevas, as far as the audit fee, those will be reimbursed by our Republic Services up to $70,000. So even though it's up to $70,000, as far as the city, we won't be paying any of those costs. Those will be reimbursed by the Republic Services.
But shouldn't we also take a look at that, even if it's being reimbursed or Republic is paying for that? Shouldn't we also make sure that we look at the reasonable amount, not such a high number? Because it seems like since we're being reimbursed up to 70,000, they decided to put an audit fee of 70,000.
Based on my experience, the cost of a biannual audit has been somewhere between $50,000 to $60,000 from some of the small cities, like City of Lawndale. But again, some of the proposals that was given by other consultants, I don't know if they are actually looking into the details of the audits that are required. But again, from my experience, from my past experience, that the audit should be around $50,000 plus.
And one last question. Have we done an audit before, and do you know what the cost was?
We have, but I don't have that information with me at this moment, but we'll provide that information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And thank you, Councilwoman. That kind of speaks to my question, Mr. Lee, if you clarify them for me. I noticed we're not going with the lowest bid, as Council Pro Temp Kearney pointed out. When is it? On what occasion do you not go with the lowest bid? I know it's supposed to be not just the lowest bid, but the lowest responsible bid. So how can you talk to us about that, so that we going forward, we know when we see that we didn't go with the lower bid, which is what you normally would go to, especially let's say for instance if it's for household events or whatever, you may go with the lowest bid. In this case, since it's government, it's the lowest responsible. And exactly what does that mean for us?
Mr. Mayor, this is Tiffany Israel, the city attorney. Can I weigh in on something real quick? On Public Works construction bidding, you have to award to the lowest responsible bidder. This is a professional services contract, so the council does not have to go to the lowest responsible bidder.
Oh, okay. So you're saying we don't have to go to the lowest responsible bidder in this case?
Right. I mean, staff still negotiates, what they think is the best price for the city and makes a recommendation, but it's not like Public Works construction where you have no choice but to award to the lowest responsible bidder.
Got it. Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
This is Julian again. Mayor, as far as what the staff looked at, again, we looked at the firm's experience, firm's knowledge, and again, team experience, and again, scope of work qualification, and all those factors. And we do include fee schedule as the determinant of the selection of the best proposal. In this case, even though that HNFH was higher in cost, about $10,000, that we felt that the benefit for the city would be much in the award of contract for the HFNH rather than the go to zero.
Okay. Now, could you? I know you may not can speak to go to zero, but in their audit fee, it's 7,000. But you said that you've seen in the city situated such as Lawndale about 50,000, at least 50,000. I'm wondering how did they come up with a 7,000 number, so low of a number? And I understand it's going to be reimbursed, and that's not a cost to the city, but obviously the waste hauler would be reimbursed in the city, making us whole up to 70,000. Wonder what's your reasoning, or what think the logic is to why the numbers are so such a gap in the numbers from 7,000 to 70,000?
Again, this is Julian. I don't know the reason for it. Maybe just some of the costs are incorporated into the other tasks, and maybe they were thinking that audit is just for the preparation of audits. However, the audits requires a lot of preparation, and I think those costs are embedded into the other components as far as Go to Zero, and maybe with HFNH that the preparation was included as part of the audit fee. That's what I could guess, but as far as how they're priced at such low price, that's something that I do not have information on right now.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Are there any other questions of staff concerning item 5?
This is Councilmember Suarez. I do have a question. Piggyback off of those questions that were previously asked. Are we allowed to ask them why their number is so low? I don't know if that's an option too, just to see if they quite understand what the responsibilities are regarding the contract and the audit.
Yes, we could, ma'am. However, again, we looked at the proposal as is, and we were looking at all these different components, including whether the consultants had good understanding of what we're looking for. And by pricing it that way, the staff feels that I don't think Go to Zero had the full understanding of what the needs of the city of Lawndale. And that for the staff was one of the determinants that we recommend going with the HNF&H rather than Go to Zero because of something like this, that not having the full understanding of what the needs of the city are. And again, those were determinant of which consultants that the staff selected for the recommendation.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilperson Hoffman-Gorman. I just had a question, and I don't know if it's towards Tiffany or Kevin or yourself, Mr. Mayor. Is there any way we could get clarification on this before we voted as to why the difference in the money, and possibly find out if there's, that those numbers are either correct or not correct, because that's a really big difference.
I suppose the short answer is that we could always, unless we're up against some type of calendar that I'm not aware of, we can always table it to get a response. But it sounds like Mr. Lee, and if you correct me, is that if Go to Zero's numbers are so low, which it should be at least, according to him, 50,000 or whatever, I can see MSW, maybe they want to be lower than that so that they can get the contract or whatever. I'm not really sure what the justification is. But if Go to Zero is 7,000, either they clearly didn't understand it, which if they clearly didn't understand the scope, then that would raise questions whether or not they're going to be able to actually fulfill our needs if they were awarded the contract. That's what I would be concerned about. But we can certainly do that, but I just don't know if that would change anything. But we can certainly do that if that's the wish of the council. Are we up against any hard dates, any hard deadlines on this, Mr. Lee or Mr. City Manager?
Not really. Only concern that we have is that we are out of contract with HNF&H since last December, and SB 1383 requires kind of a fast action. But again, is desire of the council. If the council wants us to come back with after talking with Go to Zero, we could do that.
Mr. Mayor. Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, it's Kevin Chen. Can I make a comment?
Yes, sir, please do.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, considering the fact that we aren't looking at any kind of timing issue here regarding the contract, other than the fact that we don't have a contract for this consulting services currently, what I would suggest is that based on Julian's comments that Go20 didn't have a grasp of what a biennial audit fee entailed and therefore, presented their cost as such. And the fact that HF&H's cost of $70,000, while it might be more in the realm of what, would be expected, it is a little bit higher than what his experience has told him the audit fee should cost. So what I would suggest is you allow staff to go back and negotiate with HF&H to see if we can bring that cost for the biennial audit fee down somewhat. And assuming we can do that, we may be able to get to a net cost of something closer to Go20's cost of $212,743. Right now, it looks like the cost differential is about $10,000 and some change. We may be able to bring that down through some further negotiations with HF&H. So if that's the desire of the council, we could do that and then come back at your next meeting.
Councilwoman Hoffman-Gorman, what do you think about that?
I think that that's appropriate. I think that way we have a better understanding from all sides that I think we're going in and watching our dollars, so to speak. So I think the clarity would help.
Okay, I don't have any problem with that. I think that's a good idea. We'll clarify that as well as to make sure they understand. Well, at this point, we just negotiate with HF&H and not necessarily be concerned with whether or not Go20 is fully aware of the scope of this project. With that, so why don't we? I don't think we need to make a motion. Why don't we just hold this over till? So you said there won't, Mr. City Manager, there won't be any harm in holding this over for next council meeting?
Based on Mr. Lee's comments, I don't believe that holding this over for another 2 weeks will be, it shouldn't be an issue for us. So yeah, we can do that and then bring this back to the council at your next meeting.
Okay. Without any objection, I'm going to hold this over to the next council to get further clarification. Okay, without any objection, that will be in order. Thank you for that staff report. Thank you, council members, for your input on that. Okay, that'll bring us up to item 6. Approval of a city attorney's service agreement. Let's have a staff report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. This is Kevin Chen, City Manager. In the latter part of 2019, the city started a process to consider a new city attorney for city attorney services. And as part of that process, the city received several proposals. The city then conducted interviews from those that submitted proposals, and then finalist firms were then recommended for the city council to interview, to consider for city attorney. And on January 11th of this year, the city council conducted a special meeting in which they conducted interviews of 3 finalist law firms. And as a result of that process, as a result of those interviews, the city council decided to go with a new city attorney firm, the firm of Burke, Williams, and Sorensen, with Gregory Murphy as the designated city attorney for the city. Following that decision by the city council, staff then was directed to negotiate the contract terms as well as cost structure for the city attorney services. In addition to that, staff reviewed the draft agreement with a third-party attorney, which provided some comments for clarification in the agreement, and that agreement is now being provided to you for your consideration. So with that, staff recommends that you approve the agreement from Burke, Williams, and Sorensen, naming Gregory Murphy as the city attorney for the city of Lawndale. And also, Mr. Murphy is joining us tonight, so he's available for any questions that you might have as well. Thank you.
Any questions?
Mayor, this is Pro Tem Kearney. I have a couple questions,
Yes, sir.
as always. Okay, I don't know who wants to take this, Kevin or Mr. Murphy. On this legal service agreement, is this an overview or is this just a total, this is an agreement?
The letter agreement that you have there, sir, is the agreement that our firm is proposing.
Okay, in this agreement, it doesn't say if the contract's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years.
Sir, it doesn't have a length of term for the contract. We like to have our agreements open-ended. There are termination provisions in the contract because you don't want to go into a relationship like this thinking that it's going to end. But obviously, if it needs to terminate, it can be terminated. Section 13, the client has the right to terminate services upon written notice anytime.
Okay, then on page 9, you have Exhibit A.
Yes, sir.
You have the fees to the attorney, but nowhere in there do I see that the 50-hour ceiling, and after that it goes into a higher bracket. Is that normal in your contract?
No, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. This is standard for us. We don't do what might be called a loss leader or an initial rate and a different rate. The contract that we proposed and the one that we're most happy with is one that gives you the same rate no matter how many hours of work we do.
Okay. So it's an open end, right? No 50-hour limit.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And then this is a hypothetical situation. Let's say that you fall down with and break your leg. The assistant city attorney gets the flu. So we need somebody at our next city council meeting to represent your firm. It says on page 11, other work attorneys working on reimbursable matters will be charged mileage and travel time. Will that go into effect if you two aren't eligible to come to the meeting?
Sure. What I will say to you on that, sir, is I would call that general municipal legal services. Okay. Where say there won't be any travel time, there will be mileage. And I would tell you right now, sir, if that kind of situation came up, the firm's going to eat that mileage. There's no question.
Well, look at coronavirus. We got that.
Exactly right, sir. The firm will absolutely, in a situation like that, handle the mileage. That's such a unique situation, but it's good that you bring it up. And I would also say we represent, I think, 5 other cities in LA County right now. So I would have an experienced city attorney come to you in a situation like that.
And then every 6 months, we can review your fees, correct?
You can review the fees and the performance. Absolutely. Make sure that you're satisfied. I want you to be satisfied and feel like you're getting value for what you're paying.
All right. Those are my questions, Robert. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for those questions. Thank you for the clarifications. Okay, are there any other questions on item 6? Okay, what is the pleasure of this body concerning item 6?
Well, if you're looking for a motion, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Kearney, again, I'll make a motion to approve the new city attorney's privilege agreement.
And the motion's been made that we approve the city attorney services by Pro Tem Tax Kearney. And I'm looking for a second.
Councilmember Cuevas will second that.
Okay. But I believe I heard Councilwoman Cuevas second.
Correct.
Okay, so we got a first by Kearney and second by Cuevas. Madam City Clerk, please conduct the roll. Oh, let me ask, is there any further debate or discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'm going to ask the City Clerk to give the vote.
For item number 6, Mayor Pro Tem Kearney,
Yes.
Councilmember Suarez,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman-Gorman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cuevas,
Yes.
Mayor Pullen Miles.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, Assistant City Clerk Matthew Ceballos, if I may administer the oath to newly appointed city attorney.
Oh, okay, please do.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, I state your name.
I, Gregory M. Murphy,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I look forward to getting to know the council and your staff and working with you to advance your goals. From what I've learned about the city so far, I think you have a bright future. I think you have a fantastic past, and I really look forward to working with all of you. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, next item on our agenda tonight. City manager's report. From city manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any comments for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear from our council members report. Anything the council would like to share? Let's hear from Councilwoman Bernadette Suarez first.
Yes, so I did have a couple items. I attended the South Bay City's Council of Government Board of Director meeting last Thursday. Just so that everyone knows, there is an item that is supposed to come back. We didn't get a chance to discuss it last meeting about each city funding for a regional planner that's supposed to go through different updates and kind of work with all of the different city planners to try and advocate, I guess, as a region. I did speak with staff and we don't feel that it would benefit our city. However, it is going to come back. So one council member did request more information as to the specifics, which I quite agree with her. It wasn't very detailed, the report that they gave us. So that is coming back, and I will continue to work with staff and the city manager to see what's in the best interest for Lawndale. And the other thing I wanted to note is I just wanted to give my thanks to City Attorney, now former Tiffany Israel. I just want to say thank you for all your support to the board. To the council. It doesn't go unnoticed. You have done a great job. We will, unfortunately came to time to transition to a new team, but we do appreciate all the work that you've done for us. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Councilwoman, for those remarks. Next up, Councilwoman Shirley Cuevas.
Okay. On the 27th, I participated in a webinar with the California statewide LGBTQ plus virtual small business resources, where Julie Close with the Small Business Administration spoke about different means that small businesses could use through their website, which is sba.gov. On sba.gov, the small businesses could get information about their programs and services. They have free confidential business advice, and they could also get certified with different federal programs. So you don't have to be part of the LGBTQ plus to take advantage of their SBA programs. So I recommend all small businesses in Lawndale to go on their website and get information. There's grants and there's funding for those small businesses that are suffering from the COVID pandemic closure. I also want to thank Tiffany and her team for all the years of services. I had the pleasure of working with several of her team members. And thank you for all your years of services. That's all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for those comments. Councilwoman Rhonda Hoffman-Gorman.
Thank you, Mayor. I have attended the League of California New Mayors and Council Members Academy that has been virtual this year. And I'm in the middle of doing those conferences. I'm not completely done. I think one of the advantages of it being in a virtual setting is I've actually am going back and listening to places and taking notes again. So I'm really enjoying that, and I'm just about finished all the way through. I also would like to take a moment and thank the many years that Alshire and Winder has had a relationship with our city. And most recently and long-term at that is Tiffany. You've done a fantastic job being part of the Lawndale family, and I wish you nothing but success and happiness in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, are you still with us?
Yes, I was just saying that the mute button was on, and the mute button was on as I was saying the mute button was on. About that. Let's hear from Mayor Pro Tem Pat Kearney.
I attended no meetings, but I want to send the same sentiments out that my colleagues did to Alshire, Winder, and Tiffany. I remember when I first got on the Planning Commission, you were the Assistant City Attorney then, and I think a few minute meetings in, you were promoted to the City Attorney. I will miss you, and I'll be talking to you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I would also add to that as well, Tiffany, that I'm certainly going to miss you. Not only have you been an outstanding city attorney, but also when we have our conferences or seminars in Contract City, it always gives us an opportunity to connect not only with you, but the other colleagues in some of our other cities that we represent. And we really appreciate all those opportunities and all those times had shared in the desert while we learn the craft of serving the people. So I want to appreciate you for that, and also for your sage advice that you have given me over the years since I've been on the council and as mayor. As council member Pro Tem Kearney mentioned that you were the counsel for the Planning Commission. And attorney at the time, and he approached me with the ideal of hiring you as our city attorney. And I told Bill that I think that was a great idea. This was by this time I was a council member. And so we approached the rest of the council to for their consideration as appointing you as the city attorney. I supported you then, and I still support your career now, because you are an outstanding attorney and you know your craft, and that I'll always support you and appreciate you. I always call on the city and call on me in particular if you ever have need to, or just to say hi. That would be most appropriate as well. So on behalf of the city and on behalf of all of our residents here in the city of Lawndale, I just want to thank you for all of your years for serving as our assistant city attorney, and of course your years of service as our city attorney. I want to say much the items that I attended. I'm not sure if I attended that might have been the last meeting I attended, the water board sanitation meeting. I do want to make mention of those who may have saw on television the issue concerning the mural, the proposed, we'll call it the proposed Kobe Bryant mural that was aired on Fox 11. And I did have a chance to talk to the artist concerning the mural and the position of the city. It was just unfortunate how things happened. I wish they could have been handled a little differently, but we learn as we grow, and when people understand the process, it's easier for them to kind of conform to the process. And it's always our job as much as possible to inform people of the process. Sometimes, the media or other folks will get a different story than not get the whole complete story. So it's always incumbent on us to tell our story. And so I had to do that over the last couple of days. With that being said, I would like for the staff to look into the possibilities of seeing if there's any opportunities for have a well-regulated mural or public arts program. I'm not necessarily advocating that murals be on, buildings, especially on the boulevard, but I would like for the staff to look into any opportunities. It could be at parks or other appropriate place. And so we can just have a discussion about it in the future. But the staff can appreciate it. With that, that's all I have on my agenda here. We do have a closed session. I'm going to ask the city attorney to give us the provision of the closed session for which we will go under the public performance, excuse me, the public employee performance evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City Council will now meet in a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B for the purpose of conducting an employee evaluation of the city manager. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, we have returned from a closed session. I'm going to ask the city attorney to give the report of the closed session. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City Council did discuss the performance or did perform a performance review of the city manager and gave unanimous direction to have staff schedule a special meeting so that the performance review could continue. Special meeting is to be scheduled in the late afternoon or evening and will be an in-person meeting. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. It's adjournment time, but before we adjourn, we want to adjourn in memory of one of our residents. Chuck Rondell is a Lawndale resident, and he recently passed away. He was a longtime participant at the city council meetings. He was also a member and very involved with his church, which is Restoration Life Church here in Lawndale. Mr. Rondell, he passed away Sunday, December the 6th, 2020. So at this time, we extend our condolences to his wife, Robin, on her loss, and we adjourn this council meeting in his memory, in the memory of Chuck Rondell. City Hall will be closed for this President's Day on the next regular scheduled meeting. Therefore, the next meeting of the Lawndale City Council will be held at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, February 16th. And we are adjourned.